Good morning, everyone. Just waiting for Tamar. Maybe some technological difficulty.
And I think I'm here,
Yes.
right? Okay,
No.
we're here. Good
Yes.
morning, everybody. Hi, Sharona.
Hello.
So we're starting the day again in another thought.
That's right. And before we look at the thought, we take another minute, even though before the show there was some lovely music and silence, but let's take a moment together just to turn my attention inwards to that still point where I know my wisdom, my calm, my center exists.
So nice to get detached from the daily hassles that are all around us.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So what is the thought for today?
Today, the thought is happiness disappears when there are doubts in the heart.
אז אני אתרגם רגע. נגיד שהאושר נעלם כשיש לנו ספקות בלב,
Yeah.
או מתפוגג אולי,
Yeah.
כשיש לנו ספקות בלב.
So there's a question I can start with. What would you say is the worst doubt to be holding in yourself, in your heart?
I'm trying to decide between a few. But
Uh-oh. Are we experts in doubts?
yeah, that's the doubt speaking, the energy of the doubt. But I think the first I can think of a few, and the one that I think of was the doubt in myself.
Right.
And when I say in myself, it's also a philosophical question because who's the self? What is it? Who am I? But I am talking about doubt in myself, and then doubt in the environment or the creation is the second one. And I think it resonates between them.
Wow, that's a big jump, a doubt in myself and then in the universe and
The
creation.
universe can mean others, can mean,
Okay, yeah,
friends, and
this
then
makes
it can mean
sense.
the whole big picture as the universe.
Right. Yeah, powerful. I was thinking that very specifically, um, well, no, I'll start it this way. I was thinking that the most damaging doubt is to doubt the power of goodness.
Mm.
I remember I was sitting on a train way at the beginning of my spiritual journey, and just chatting with the passenger sitting next to me. And we were strangers, but we had a long ride, so we started chatting. And it occurred to me, talking to her about my spiritual path, that actually goodness is an energy. It's an energy. And there's a huge amount of power in that energy. It's very aligned to the energy of truth and everything that philosophy or the scriptures would have said about truth and the power of truth. That's inside goodness. And I think we might not even have been conscious that moment where we started having doubts about the power of goodness. It might have just, mommy raised us to be good. And so we just had faith that goodness is, what mommy said to do. So we did it. But then life, and as you were saying, environment, people, circumstances, and situations might have been slowly eroding that faith or that trust. So we end up without that conviction that I'll always be a winner. I'll always be ahead of the game if I'm aligned to my principles and my values. Even before aligned, they're clear to me and I'm working from them.
I'm thinking about goodness. And you were talking since we were babies till, when we grow up and we start learning more and maybe get hurt sometimes and start having all kinds of defense mechanisms. And when you start using the word defense mechanism, which is a great mechanism because it helps us survive, it helps us contain what we can contain, but we need to be on guard. We need to defend ourselves from something. And slowly we grow up, and I think as we grow up, and I look at what happened, in the past few years, and it's like you were talking about the development of from being a kid to growing up, and I'm looking at the development of our society even. And we grow up and we have a lot of voices and we have a lot of needs and we have wars. And I think when you forget the basics, which is the good nature, that everything, you can't even say everything is going to be okay now, because it's not all okay on the daily perspective. So I'm trying to think, you're talking, and basically I know that I'm good. I know that creation is good. I know that people around me are good. Yesterday I had a conversation, reminded me, with a friend who is in enormous pain right now. Okay. And she's in the better situation out of her whole family, but she's in a terrible situation. And she was begging her mother to help her, but the mother was even in a worse situation. So the mother said, I cannot help you.
Oh my God.
And it was very hard to hear her begging, telling me, she was telling me about it. But I wasn't mad at the mom, and she was really surprised. She said, wow, that is so nice, because when I talked to my other friends, they started, wow, that can't be, and they got it worse. How come you're not mad? And she was not mad also, I have to say. She was in a pain. She was in a lot of pain, but she wasn't mad. And I just said, because your mom doesn't have the energy to do that, she's not a good person.
That's right.
And I think just remembering that, and it was a horrible situation, okay? It was really horrible. It was almost involving the police kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not an easy situation, but I knew that both of them are very good inside, and they don't have the energy. So I can relate to holding this picture and knowing that, and it made something different in the energy of talking to her, of her finding solutions of everything.
Very powerful, very, very practical and grounded, because that would be the second worst and most damaging doubt, to doubt that I am good or that the other would not be good, because it's an energy. And the only energy which parallels its power is the power of thought. So if I say she's not good, that mother, or I say I'm not good, or I'm even thinking it, then I don't have the power of one aspect of truth. And we really can't. I was thinking, on the one side, we can say, look at the world. I mean, I couldn't believe what I was seeing on the news the other day. You've got these flash floods happening. I don't know if you've seen it, but it looks just like the movies that we saw 30 years ago about the end of time, in which destruction's happening all over with hurricanes and tornadoes and floods. I thought I was just looking at that, but then the news flashes were coming up. This is Texas. There were flash floods, whole cabins of young children at summer camp were just washed away with their counselors in it. In 2 minutes, everything was flooding, and many, many different videos on it. I honestly didn't think I was seeing something real. It was so extreme. So, what with everything going on in the world, really, can we use this adjective, good? And if I am good and the others are good innately, so in the face of war, in the face of the injustices, in the face of what's spiraling out of control environmentally and according to climate, what is the power of my goodness? But again, because I come back to this, the greatest doubt would be about the power of goodness. And I still come back to it being a power in the sense that, or not in the sense, but where it's coming from for me is just something we've mentioned before, but in the larger picture of it all, which is very important now to become knowledgeable about that larger picture. In the larger picture of it all, we know that it's always the darkest before the dawn. We know that the greatest storms happen just before spring. That's very important to hold, because what is the energy that's going to move us forward out of the darkness into the light? What illuminates the path so we can keep moving forward? It is this power of goodness. It's this conviction, and it starts with how I'm feeling about myself. It starts about how I'm feeling about others. It starts about how I'm feeling about the situation, but then how I'm speaking about it, how I'm thinking about it, because that's where the energy starts accumulating.
I think the word doubt is bringing the wrong energy.
Already.
That's my perspective. That's the way I live. When you're in doubt,
That's right.
and I can say that what helps me, the perspective that I hold, or the entry point, is first of all that every day is a new day. Nothing that happened tomorrow is needs to repeat itself.
Yesterday. Nothing that happened yesterday.
Yesterday. Yeah, thank you. So I'm letting the day surprise me, and I'm coming from a point that this day can be and easily can be different.
Yeah,
That's
actually,
one thing. And the other thing is to realize if I'm acting out of fear or out of doubt. And the minute that I realize it, I put a stop to it. I just put a stop. I don't want to act. It doesn't mean that I don't recognize or hold myself when I'm in fear, or, it's not that I'm putting it aside, but I'm not going to choose my behaviors coming from fear. And I need to distinguish and see where I'm coming from. And when you told about the floods, and it was a horrible picture.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about the mothers.
Yeah.
And it's a very bad situation now. And I'm thinking about next year. That's the picture that came up to my head. And I said, we're talking doubts. So the mother next year is she going to be able to send her son to a camp? Not the mother that, some other mother that saw those pictures. And the minute I said it to myself, I said, yes, that's what we have to do. That is for me. That is the changing point. What happened last year, it's not the thing that happens this year. Fear cannot manage my life because then I don't do anything. And that for me is an entry point for being every day is a new energy, something new can happen.
That's beautiful. And coupled with that, there's a slogan I really like, which is happiness is a daily decision.
Mm-hmm.
And happiness is also an energy. Goodness is an energy. Happiness is an energy. And this energy is so completely independent from what's going on around me, who's saying what or doing what. This is the energy that's needed to move us forward. The whole of humanity on the world clock carry us out of the dark night. But I was also thinking, not only will I not do my today in reaction to yesterday, but as much as I can do my day starting fresh, starting new, like you're saying, it's a new day, and I'm working according to my best, starting new today, then I'm planting new seeds for tomorrow, because my tomorrow and our collective tomorrow depends on what we're doing today. So these are wonderful things to keep in mind to separate us from that habit of getting into all of these doubts. And sometimes it's very sneaky and subtle.
Definitely. Definitely. And I really liked planting the seeds. And I want to translate the word happiness because it needs to be accurate. It's osher. It's
Yeah,
not simcha. It's not, it's not laughing at a joke. It's osher.
that's
And what
right.
we're saying here is that doubt and happiness is opposite energies.
That's right.
And when you
Exactly so.
dissolve your doubts, your happiness
That's right.
can come.
It's trusting in truth. And that's what I feel the spiritual study needs to do. It needs to reinstill our conviction that truth exists and it's about goodness. There isn't any evil in truth. I mean, reality can carry all sorts of evil, but truth is always going to win.
I think that's a good note to end the day. To
And
end
the
the con
day,
end the conversation and start
yeah,
the day.
it is. Yeah. In fact, it's the basis of our program. We want to enjoy good food for thought. So our program hopefully is providing some new thoughts at the very least to arm us against the old programmed thinking. We take a minute just again to turn my awareness inside to that still point and come into the goodness of your peace and strength.
So thank you all. Thank you, Sharona.
Thank you, Tamar.
Let's put our good glasses for today.
That's right. It all depends on how you see.
Bye-bye.
Bye.